I have sort of a smattering of typographic techniques that I want to bounce off of you here. Of course, making use of CSS properties. So I'm going to do the majority of these, or I'm going to apply the majority of these to our paragraphs inside our document. So inside our code, I'm going to go and look for my redefined paragraph. There he is. And you know, the first thing that I'm going to do, this has actually been driving me nuts for a little while. I'm going to get rid of our text indent. Remember we set that way back when? Go ahead and change that, and of course that blows out my text indent on all of my paragraphs, which is great. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to create a little bit of space here just to make this easier for you to see, as always. The first guy that I want to show you is letter spacing. So if I put in letter dash spacing, :space, and then throw in some kind of value, maybe I'll throw in a fairly large value to get us started here. I'll try 10 pixels. And then save and then refresh my browser. This is what I wind up with. So what I'm actually doing, even though this looks atrocious, we instantly get an idea of what's happening here. We are increasing the amount of space between all of the characters, right? So 10, of course, is way over the top. Maybe I want to bring that down maybe to 3 pixels or perhaps something even lower, depending on what it is that I'm after. Okay, so there it is, letter spacing. Very, very similar to tracking in the traditional graphic design world or print world. Okay, so there's 2 pixels for you. So you can experiment with different values there if you like. All right, so there's the first guy, letter spacing. Here's another one for you, kind of related to letter spacing, word spacing. So this is going to be the space between the words themselves. So once again, I'll throw in a fairly hefty value just to see if we can get some kind of dramatic result, and then we can come back and tweak and fiddle a little bit. So I'm going with 10 pixels here, refresh, and there we go. So now there's 10 pixels of space between every single word inside my entire document through all the paragraphs there. Okay, so that's working for us. So then once again, I might decide to come back and reel that in a little bit, maybe pull that back down to 5 pixels and refresh. Maybe that's sort of the look I'm going for. Now, there's another one that I want to show you. This is called leading in the traditional print world. This is the vertical space between the lines of text. And in CSS, we don't call it leading. We call it line height, line dash height. There we go. And then, once again, throw in some kind of pixel value. Maybe I'll try 30 pixels, a fairly large pixel value. There we go. Save this up and then refresh my browser. There we go. So once again, the line height or the leading, the amount of space between the lines of text, just like that. So once again, I can come back and I can start to fiddle a little bit. Maybe I'll try cranking this down to 20 and then refresh. Again, maybe that's what I'm after. The typographic controls that we have in CSS are pretty incredible. They're pretty flexible. So anyway, there you go. There's a bunch of cool things that we can do. There's one more that I want to show you. It's kind of a simple one. I'm going to do this on my heading 1s. And all I want to do is I want to change the font to small caps. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to flip back over to my code. And of course, I'm going to go and look for my H1. And what I'm going to do is throw in a new CSS property called font-variant. There we go, :space. And I'm simply going to go small dash caps, just like that, followed by a semicolon, of course, save and refresh. And there you go. Now we have small caps happening on our H1s all the way through our document. So as always, I welcome you to experiment and play around with the various settings that we're seeing here to control our text.